Orcs Must Die 3 has an endless mode where you can see how long you can survive an onslaught of orcs. Today, I wanted to see how long I could last. I've already done this once before, but I wasn't too pleased with my old record, so here I am again to challenge myself once more. So the ultimate goal in Orcs Must Die is to defend your rift, which as you can see at the top middle of the screen has 20 health. So as soon as 20 orcs, or bigger monsters, get into my rift, it's game over. I chose to play as Cygnus, however I chose Maximilian's weapon being the crossbow, along with some barricades, a tar trap, and a lot of damage. The first round is pretty easy, as you'd expect it to be, with mostly some light orcs, and then in the next few rounds, the only increase in difficulty is a medium orc. As I get to wave 5, this gnoll appears, and this wants to hunt you down and take your life rather than your rift's life. Now since I'm playing as Cygnus, I can use my passive ability to double jump and it will have me sleep in order to regenerate mana and health, which will also make the gnoll ignore me and go straight for my rift, but it will not count against my rift's health. I start with these barricades in order to lead the path in a zigzag pattern. On the walls, I have these chargers which will electrocute anything that passes by. And above those, I've got these windows that will daze the orcs. When they get dazed, they start walking backwards. In that time that they've walked backwards, the tasers should be back up and be able to shock them once more. And for this area by the barricades that a taser can't reach, I put an arrow wall to deal extra damage. And on the floor I've got tar traps to make them walk slower, as well as floor scorchers because of their increased range. This will be my strategy for the next however many waves I can make it. And if I get to the end building this path, I'll start building on the ceiling. But one obstacle at a time. Now every 5 waves, you'll encounter this ogre named Mr. Moneybags. And while he is stronger than a regular ogre, the real prize isn't his death, because he drops a bag of money! This is great for increasing the expansion of this track. You have a lot more fuel to keep this fire going. I should also mention the secondary fire to the crossbow. See, the primary fire is a very inaccurate, quick shot that deals a good amount of damage to the orcs. But its secondary fire costs a little bit of mana. It causes a wide area that stuns enemies. Using this, I'm able to keep the orcs farther away for a longer period of time. I've even got a mana regeneration trinket, just in case I run out. Speaking of trinkets, I also have these 2 gears here, which reset all the traps with the push of a button. With this being said, I start getting a lot more comfortable. I face ogres, which are a lot bigger and a lot stronger than the orcs. Heavy orcs, which are the strongest orc that we'll encounter, and trolls that regenerate health while they come along the track. However, with some well-placed stuns, some well-used trap resets, a lot of mana being spent, and a lot of traps being used, I plan to keep this going as long as possible. Now something does happen that is a bit unfortunate. As you can see with this purple wall, you're not supposed to be able to kill or go past it. This is the grace period for the orcs. However, I was just too strong and I was able to kill an orc before passing through the barrier. As you can see, the loot on them spawned beyond the barrier. So I cannot get this, but I don't think it will be a huge setback. Now as the length of this challenge goes on, so does the number of deaths I attain. I manage a lot of casualties while working on this. And in a way, it's not actually that bad. Every time you die, your mana does get reset. The only problem is, for that period of time, you're unable to act. It's about a 5-second stall before you come back to life. And thankfully on this map, your spawn is very close to the entrance for the orcs. While this map is small, I chose it because of how I can create a straight, structured path to the rift that the orcs have to go through and take a lot of damage while doing it. Something you'll notice as we go on in these rounds is these orcs become a lot stronger. Not just the ogres, but even the light orcs. They're a lot faster and they have a lot more health, which will be an increasing problem going forward. My strategy going forward was to keep these monsters as close to the entrance as possible. I did this by standing on my barricade and spamming my secondary fire from my crossbow. Keeping them stunned at the entrance with my crossbow, the windows would daze them, and the chargers would deal the damage. If they did manage to get past, they'd be one of the only ones to get past. meaning they would receive the charges for all the future traps that they have to go through. While enacting this strategy, you can see some ogres will charge me, and it backfires on them a little, I guess. I'm able to use this strategy to get quite far in the run, and if they do manage to get past me or if I die at the entrance, I just move on to the next area and restart. Because this path is so long, that's a privilege that I have. Something I was quite worried about going forward was wave 36. I had only survived 35 waves in my previous run, failing at wave 36. I really felt that I would be able to deal with it this time, and my intuition was right, as I breezed through this stage. However, unfortunately, on wave 48, an armored ogre is able to sneak past, and he's way too fast at this point to be able to stop him. All these ogres, even with the tar, are moving at a really fast speed, and one hit from them is enough to just take me down completely. Now we get to the point where everything counts. Every shot, every arrow. There is no room for error up here. As you can see, I'm sort of min-maxing my strategy. I stun the orcs, I go to sleep to regain my mana, and as soon as they're unstunned, I restun them. And if I run out of mana, I either use my trinket or jump off the edge. With that being said, one of the biggest problems that comes along is I don't have any time to build, nor any money. These orcs have gone from dropping up to 10 coins to nothing at all. So in between rounds, I'm given from 3 to 10 seconds to sell and build. And that's just not a lot of time. If I'm not close to the end of my path, I might just not be able to build anything. Now on round 51, something tragic happened. I had mentioned I did not have a lot of time to build. So when the orcs started getting close to the end, I decided to build while they were attacking, and I got sloppy. See, not all the enemies can fit through this small gap. The orcs can, but the ogres can't. So in order to get by, they'll just start attacking random barricades. And I mean any barricade. As long as they're close enough to the broken barricade, they start breaking it. And it ends up with the whole row of barricades being destroyed. I need every wall in order to keep these ogres back. And as you can see, I start leaking fast. After this, on round 52, I try to recover what I can, but I don't have the funds. And unfortunately, while I try my best to hold them back, that will be the tragic end to this endless run. Which was a lot better than my previous, recorded at 35 waves. But however, it's still a bittersweet ending. But probably a thankful one because this took like 2 hours. Now, while I was quite happy with this, something sad is that it will not be accepted to speedrun.com because I forgot to show the stat page at the end. And I guess that's a little bit of a requirement, but oh well. I was happy with it, and if you enjoyed this video and like others like it, please subscribe.